As the days left to take some key decisions in the incoming administration shorten, the stakes get higher and different groups table their demands, not always in tandem with the party or national aspirations. President Muhammadu Buhari and President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu received many visitors with the same requests, but as it is in the holy books, many are called but a few are chosen. Of course, the month of May started traditionally with the commemoration of Workers' Day. The workers, however, called for a better deal in this democratic dispensation. Also on political update today, as one administrative bus stops, another one is about to take off. What is in all this for the women? We have this and more in a moment. I am Fisayo Ogunfuyi. Welcome. Former Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has formally informed President Buhari of his aspiration to be president of the 10th Assembly. The former governor of Akwa Ibom State was at the presidential villa on Sunday.
Senator Godswill Akpabio, who served as minority leader of the 8th Senate before his appointment as minister, has just been re-elected into the National Assembly. He is here to show President Muhammadu Buhari his certificate of return and formally appreciate him for his selfless service of the country, worthy legacies for posterity, and ensuring that the governing APC remains united and formidable.
I thanked him for the opportunity to serve Nigeria in that capacity, and also to let him know that we'll continue to pray for him so that God will continue to sustain him as we move forward. And as the transition from him to the incoming president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that God will continue to give Nigeria peace, and through them that progress will remain our portion in the country.
During the visit, Senator Akpabio sought President Muhammadu Buhari's blessings for his aspiration to become the president of the 10th Senate.
And he was happy to hear that.
So what is Senator Akpabio bringing on board?
Akpabio is known as an uncommon transformer. Akpabio is known as a man who is result-oriented. I recall that when I was a governor, I brought so many innovations to bear, infrastructurally, educationally, socially, and otherwise, and also in terms of human empowerment. So I intend to bring a lot of reforms into the Senate in the ways and manner we do business to assist the next administration to succeed. We will be very thorough in doing everything. We will bring about loyalty to the Constitution. We'll bring about loyalty to Nigerians. We will tackle issues through legislation. We have done a lot of consultations, and they've been very positive and well received. In fact, it's almost like a woman who was already 8 months pregnant, just a month to deliver.
The former governor of Zamfara State and senator-electors called for caution on the part of the governing APC in taking a position on the election of the presiding officers in the 10th Assembly. He said this while speaking to a newsman after an audience with President Muhammadu Buhari.
The two-term governor of Zamfara State and Senator-elect Abdulaziz Yari Abubakar is one of those aspiring for the presidency of the 10th Senate. His mission here is, however, to felicitate with President Muhammadu Buhari on the successful 2023 elections, which saw his party retaining the presidency, majority states, and seats in the National Assembly. He told newsmen he did not inform the president about his aspiration, but what he thinks the APC needs to consider as political maneuvering continues ahead of the inauguration of the new government and indeed the 10th National Assembly.
I'm advising the party that on doing whatever they are going to do, they should look at how best they should do to reward performance, not religion, because the religion is not in the Constitution of Nigeria. No doubt about it, Nigeria has done what it's supposed to do to APC, and APC shall be a ruling party. We are going to do the job, and we are going to do the right thing.
So if you are contesting the Senate presidency, what are you bringing on board? What can you assure the lawmakers?
Well, transparency. We have to do everything together collectively as colleague and non-partisan. Nigeria first.
The former Zamfara State governor is going into the Senate as a ranking lawmaker, having served as member of the House of Representatives before his election as governor.
Meanwhile, Governor Yaya Bello of Kogi State has presented Usman Oduduwa to the president as the APC governorship candidate for Kogi State in the November off-cycle governorship election in that state.
I have a father who, by the special grace of God, came about this All Progressives Congress. As a tradition, I have presented for candidate Alhaji Usman Ododo to our president, and he has given his blessings and admonition to him, myself, and as usual, to all Nigerians, to remain steadfast, be a party man, to continue to serve our people to the best of our ability. Alhaji Usman Ododo is a professional accountant, forensic option, and he has served with me for over 7 years. He has contributed immensely in the reforming of our civil service in the state, and majority of our successes today in Kogi State, he was more or less the architect who came up with certain brilliant ideas, workable ones, and along with my brilliant team, we were able to achieve majority of this success.
For the past 7 years, I have not been left out in the management of the state affair.
Over that, the course of the weekend, he also spoke with the president-elect, with that candidate. But moving on now, one of the stories over the weekend was the meeting of governors Nyesom Wike and Seyi Makinde of the PDP with President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
I came here to basically pay homage to the president-elect and to let him know that, elections are over. This is governance, and we will do our best, to give him support for good governance of Nigeria.
The elections have come and gone. The winner has emerged, and therefore it is necessary for all Nigerians to rally around to give him the necessary support for the interests of Nigeria. And everybody is expecting, everyone can't wait till May 29th to see that the president has been inaugurated, and then from there he kick the ground rolling to make sure that Nigerians get what they expect. I'm confident that he has what it takes to turn Nigeria around. I have that confidence.
As the politicking is ongoing, many are equally wondering if the women will play a visible role in the incoming administration. Now, Princess Zara Audu, North Central APC Zonal Women Leader, joins us today on Political Update. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It seems to me as if the women leader these days are getting ever younger. Do you agree?
Well, politics is becoming a game for the younger generation. So I guess APC is going with the flow and understanding that it's time for us to diversify and bring in, the great, bright young minds out there. And obviously, you can see it worked for us in these elections. We did very well, and we emerged successful. So yes.
Okay, so let's, perhaps you may be one of the think tank, but if you want to set agenda, especially for the women folk, for the incoming administration, so what would be your early interventions, seeing what the tapestry is looking like in terms of the jostling for key positions in the incoming government?
Well, I think, to be honest, it has to be a mix between, obviously, the older, because of the wisdom, and the younger generation. It has to be a mix between the two so that we can actually decide what's best for the country as a whole. Of course, women should be carried along. I think at this stage where Nigeria is, having a lot of women at the helm of affairs would definitely help us heal and, mend fences, because this is one of the issues that we faced in this last election, a lot of segregation and a lot of separation and a lot of, different things played out in our politics, from religion to tribe, etc. And women have a way of bringing things together, uniting, bringing about peace, bringing about oneness, which is what I think Nigeria needs at this point in time. An election has been won very successfully by the APC, but we have to be magnanimous in victory and pull together all our brothers and sisters from all opposition parties and let them know that at this point in time, it's time for us to face, tackle head-on the issues that affect us all as a country, because regardless of whether you are from the APC or the PDP or Labour, our issues, our fundamental issues remain the same. We all want to see a successful country. We all want to succeed individually. We all need the same basic amenities, from road to healthcare to water to electricity. So I think it's time to face governance as opposed to continue to politic endlessly. So I think that's the stage we're at. I'm hoping that everyone's ready to move on, forge ahead, and build a great country.
All right, you must have seen the performance of the women folk in the 2023 general election. Are you worried? Is there a clear path to that big chair in different states for the women? And what are you perhaps going to do as a whole in terms of galvanizing action in this direction, perhaps so that we could see some of the competencies you've earlier spoken about come to the fore, even in a more telling manner?
I'll be honest with you. I wasn't too surprised by the outcome of the 2023 election, general elections, when we didn't see a lot of women coming into political positions, simply because from the stage during the primaries, we had already seen that not so many women were successful at getting their tickets. So obviously, if you're not in the race, then you don't even stand a chance to be elected into office. So that wasn't too surprising. I think these are issues that will be corrected, and we need to work actively towards within the next, over the next 4 years.
But how would you want to correct that? How could it be corrected? Is it in terms of legislation? Because, for instance, about three or four of your bills fell flat in the last assembly. How do you intend to push some of these things through in the new dispensation, first of all, to galvanize action? In the second phase, are you perhaps going to look at your numbers, your share numbers, to drive home this message?
I think first and foremost now we need to focus on appointments, because appointments are easier for women to actually hopefully get a fair deal from, simply because, you know, individuals sit down and take decisions. So I think first of all, women need to present themselves more, make themselves available, you know, go back home, dust off your CV, you know, and put yourself out there. You need to lobby as hard as the men, but we can't sit at home and expect the opportunities to come to us in our bedrooms or in our houses or whatever. We need to be out there, we need to be strategic, we need to be prepared, you know, for governance. And hopefully, if enough women are put into appointed positions at the state level and at the federal level, then in 4 years, it makes it easier, because whether we like it or not, our politics involves a lot of financial implications. You're spending a lot from the cost of the tickets. Yes, it's reduced for women, but then how about the primaries? You know, you still have, whether you're doing indirect primaries, you still have the delegates to take care of, or if you're doing direct primaries, and then it's even a more general, more robust affair. So I think what it is that we need to focus on getting as many women into office so that they are financially capable, because one of the major things that have kept women out of mainstream politics is the finances. If we had more women who have more resources to play with politically, then hopefully in 4 years, which would be, I think, 2027, we would definitely see that more women would emerge in elected positions too.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is this position that even the women don't support the agenda at times, when even some brave all these storms and come to the table presenting themselves, that even women at times don't even go to, you know, perhaps let that brand even go beyond those stages as well. Because if it's cut down to numbers, you could even solve all this in terms, even if the legislation is not there, the share numbers will carry the day. Do you agree?
To be honest with you, yes, I do. It's weird. Yes, women, I think women most times do not necessarily support each other, simply because, you see, it's like men. Men go out and you hustle and you get a position. Women do the same thing. So a woman getting a position doesn't necessarily make her a woman leader, meaning that she's out there to try and build other women. She's just like anybody else who's ambitious and who's trying to build themselves. We don't really attribute the same, how do I explain it? You don't put the same weight on men. When a man is successful, you don't automatically assume that he's out there so he can build a million other men. It's just easier for them to do it. I think, yes, as women, we need to be more deliberate about helping each other out. You know, I know sometimes politics is very selfish. It has to be, because, you know, it's a game where it's survival of the fittest. So obviously everybody goes in, it's a struggle, it's difficult. But we also have to understand that because we are disadvantaged, we need to pull together, we need to band together and find a way to actually, you know, bridge the gap. there's a huge gap. We need to find a way to bridge that gap, and then, you know, because obviously at the same time, another problem that we face is that how the men kind of pitch us against each other. So it's either one woman versus another woman, and then the positions for women are very limited. So you find that we're even struggling harder than the men. You know, if you say, for instance, you're going to have, just off the top of my head, 40 ministers, you would find that only 5 or 4 positions will be reserved for women. So automatically, and again, from what statistics have shown, we actually are more, we outnumber the men. We are more women versus men.
Not in the last breakdown of those eligible to vote, but that is one leg of this discussion. We'll come back for the final thoughts. But first, let's, you know, take a second leg. That's the 2030 Workers' Day, of course, is the last under the current administration. Nigerian workers use the commemoration to harp on issues of decent pay, decent work, decent pay, and adoption of social dialogue and improved productivity.
This productivity, which is the basis for national development, then they must be prepared to treat us better. They must be prepared to treat us first as humans, then as major contributors to the wealth creation.
I encourage the incoming administration to continue to respect workers' rights, imbued with socio-economic development and driven by the 4 pillars of decent work agenda to promote jobs and enterprise, guaranteeing rights at work, extending social protection, and promoting social dialogue for consensus building and maintenance of industrial relationships.
We have, as a government, also provided better working conditions and environment and events when we can. We have also invested in training and retraining, education, and human capacity development for Nigerian workers.
Let us have a peaceful country. We have no other country except this one. And we must build it, and we must build it for our children.
I want the incoming government to practice the, dialogue. Engage them and let labor engage them. It's better to judge than to war. And I believe that the incoming president has the capacity to do it. He's one person that when he was governor of Lagos State, there were never incessant strikes.
All right, voices of today and of course from yesterday in the world of labor, and they're talking about setting agenda for the incoming administration. We still have with me Princess Sarah Audu. Beyond issues of women, what would be a low-hanging fruit for you for the new administration while it settles down to quickly tackle, to have an even keel in terms of balance socioeconomically?
For me, I think a quick win, a very quick win, would be in how we actually put together our ministerial cabinet, especially because what we just saw with the just concluded elections, whereby we had a huge young voting population. A quick win would be to actually bring in ministers that look like those voters, people that can actually engage with those voters, people that they can relate to. Because I feel at the stage where Nigeria is, we need to bring on board the majority of our citizens, which happen to be the under 45s, under 50s. We need to bring them on board, especially, show them that the APC is the kind of party that they can relate to by, I think it's very important that the cabinet reflects the wishes of the people, because this is one of the things that I think worked against us during the general elections. They were seeing a lot of candidates that maybe they couldn't really relate to, but I think we can actually fix this very, very quickly by putting together, a ministerial cabinet that reflects, the kind of people that the younger Nigerians would like to see, a more vibrant cabinet. This would actually help us. We'll go a very, very long way in building the hope of citizens across. Secondly, I think we should look very, very quickly into the economy. A lot of people are suffering. This is exactly what people were saying during the, the just concluded Labor Day celebration. Minimum wage is just not capable of, meeting the needs of an average Nigerian. So these are little issues that we need to look into. Look at social development impacting programs that can quickly rejuvenate the economy, because our economy at the moment, just because we went through the crisis with the scarcity of naira, we're still healing from that. So we need to look at, quick social interventions that we can use to help revive a lot of businesses that went down during that period when we had a naira scarcity. I think those are easy, low-hanging fruits that we can, look into.
I'll end this on a personal note. Of course, you look like perhaps you belong to that demography that you stated succinctly just now. But beyond that, you traveled around the country during those days where the campaigns were going on. As a woman leader, were you able to perhaps connect with the older generation, which in the past used to drive these processes, and for those indigent women and all that, were there any challenges, and what were the voices coming from the grassroots?
To be honest with you, it's very, very interesting, because with women, we don't really look at age as a factor. We're just happy to see when another woman succeeds. We're happy to see a lot of women. I found during the campaigns that even the older generation of women were extremely supportive to me, obviously, because to lead anyone, you have to have followers, you have to have people that believe in you. And it was more like first amongst equals. It was more like, a camaraderie where they're coming together and saying, let's do this. And I think it was very reflective in the North Central, where you can see we had the majority of activities, and we also did extremely well for the APC, winning 4 of our states for the presidential elections. I think the only other zone that actually won 4 states was the Southwest. So I think we did exceptionally well. And of course, again, for the governorship elections, we won majority of our states with exception of Plateau and the FCT. So I think, again, the North Central did extremely well for the APC. And this is reflective of the kind of leadership that we have within the North Central, from our governors to our party leaders, etc. So it was a very, very good experience. We're hoping to try and do a lot more. We're not looking at the win as an opportunity for us to just go home and relax, but we think that now we need to double down and try and deliver on some of those promises that we made during the electioneering process.
All right, that's been the program. Let me agree with you, perhaps, that in terms of the youth votes and the concept from your party, perhaps you guys are looking good in more ways than one.
Yes.
All right, that's the program for today. Political update on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, Africa's largest and finest, where we'll give you the very best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews, like I always say on the program. Until the next time, we'll come your way, play your politics for the greater good. Bye-bye now.